You're watching Sirius Thoughts. Today, I want to cover the 5 mistakes that any startup must avoid. Let's go into it. So, first, no business plan. Without business plan, of course, there are no objectives. It's very hard to make decision because you don't know you against what you are decided. There are no benchmark, no measurement, and so it's very hard also to measure progress. It's harder to convince investors and get funding because investors rely on concrete facts, data, processes, and it's also this means that your business is exposed to a higher risk of failure because you may misinterpret risk or miss opportunities, and most likely you will also have inefficient resource allocation because without a business plan there is not a clear prioritization. You're gonna spend equally your resources across a bunch of many activities. What you must do is to create a concise plan that capture a vision, few objectives, key battlefields, 5 to 7, and for each battlefield, the key actions. Hire an expert, pause, wink, wink, to refine ideas and strategy. The expert can be your soundboard. The expert brings experience, as the word implies, but also it brings frameworks and a huge case studies of issues that you're facing and which has been addressed in a certain way. Be adaptable because you are in a very dynamic and fluid environment, so update as you learn. You must have measurable goals so you can see the progress and correct the actions, and communicate extensively. Everyone has to be aware of what is important and aligned. Critical. Another issue which is common is jumping the gun. It's typical because the founders have so much passion about their idea, so eager to see it happen, that they are rushing into execution without proper planning. Not enough time is spent designing. Designing doesn't mean just creating the product itself. Design your business model, your idea, your vision, and therefore then you will end up going back and forth with very costly reworks, and also demoralizing the organization because they see their efforts being vanished by another change of mind of the top guys. You don't put normally enough research, spending time understanding your core target, what do they want, and therefore you end up delivering mediocre product or services that will fail. And because you are lacking focus and direction, you will be running around like crazy where panic is your typical default mode. And again, this will impact the organization morale. The good guys will leave. You should pause. Invest in research, even if you have limited budget. Spend some money talking to the target. When I was working in innovation, sometimes I would just offer a coffee to people passing by to ask a couple of questions. You can do surveys. There are many ways to do it, and focus group, quantitative research, but also use secondary research. There's so much data out there, to get some desktop analysis on the market, the competitors, the trends, the segments. It's worth it. Then define your problem statement. What is your company trying to solve? And write a brand story. Forget the claims, the graphics, the logo, the motto. First, write down as it is a story, and then all the brand ownables will come naturally out of it. Remain consumer centric, understand again your target preference and pain points, and thoroughly design. Make a prototype before you scale up. And again, even if it's a service, make a prototype, do the test, a pilot, and see if it works. Do A/B testing, where you only change one variable and see which of the two variables performs better. Iterate, refine, go back and forth. Believe me, the small investment in prototype, the small investment of time will pay back. You will waste so much more money and time by going back and forth. And make sure you have a cross-functional team working on the project so the different points of view can be embraced. Another threat looming on any startup is poor financial discipline. Without it, you end up for sure overspending because you don't have any tracking, any yardstick, any measurement or benchmark against which to compare. You will be buying on a gut feeling without proper search of supplier, due diligence, and things like that. You most likely end up underestimating or not anticipating certain costs because of the optimist bias, where we tend to overestimate the likelihood of positive events over negative, and therefore you will find a financial gap. And most likely you will be eating cash flow for breakfast because without the proper training and competencies, you will end up building a over complex portfolio, whether product or service. You will be investing overly in inventory of this very complex portfolio. You will be eager to pay supplier, and you will be shy and uncomfortable in collecting payments. And also you will invest like you are a multinational with a fancy office, maybe state-of-the-art manufacturing equipment, and bye-bye cash. Instead, have a 5-year financial plan with the revenue and cost projection. Then from this, create an annual profit and loss statement and annual cash flow statement. These are your budget. These are your goal to achieve. Hire an accountant or a finance director, a CFO, so they're critical to establish the proper governance, the proper policies, process, analysis. Set up a financial system for tracking. Buy one, outsource it. When you're a startup, outsource as much as possible so that your time, your brain can be focused where it creates value. Manage carefully cash flow, particularly inventory is critical, and try to negotiate to delay your payables and accelerate receivable, offering discount maybe for prompt payments. And create a data suite. Make sure that this data suite is very limited to the essential data. The more mistakes in the data, and the more data overwhelm, which will lead to decision paralysis. Limit your gut feeling decision. Another common issue in startup is a weak team. Why is that? Because when you start, who do you want to start your company? With your friends, with your family members, which are not necessarily the best professional for that job. Also, this group of supposedly friendly kind hides often freeloaders, incompetent, lazy, and whatever you can think of. Even if they're armed with the best intention, they most likely lack certain critical skills. And with the limited skill set, it derives the productivity and the quality will be suboptimal. There will be likely weak discipline because no processes and no mindset into a rigorous and disciplined way of working. So decision making will be very erratic, and if you have some good talent, they will run away as soon as possible. So what you should do is create an inspiring vision and cohesive culture. Culture is the glue that keeps all the organization pieces together. Establish a performance management system to reward excellence, but also to address performance issues. Upgrade your talent, both by hiring outside the right person for the right job, and also internally via coaching, feedback, and development. Invest in training, especially invest in training for your top talent and for the talent that is likely to stay. If you have a department with very high turnover, training is not a good investment because you are spending money for people that will leave. And set up business process and approval protocols so that there is a stronger discipline and rules in the way your company makes decisions. Number 5, lack of focus. It's typical again because of the fire burning inside that you will jump into a lot of initiatives, trying also to light many fires, seeing which one will pick up. The result is that the organization resources will be spread too thin, and you will underinvest both time and money in the big ticket item. This will also dilute your vision. It will have an effect of rotating, confusing priorities. You will struggle to scale, of course, and your organization will be confused, demotivated, and tired. So create a clear vision, objectives, and communicate internally all the time. Don't change them. Apply the 80-20 framework, over-investing in the 20%, in the 20% of your customer, 20% of your products, 20% of your segments, 20% of your suppliers to deliver the 80% of the output. Create a 8 to 10 point plan. So create a list of your key initiatives, the concrete projects that will really make a difference in your organization. And spend a lot of time with your peers discussing on this. Spend a lot of money behind this initiative to make them happen. It's possible that over time some of these initiatives either come to completion or reveal not to be that important, so you can drop them off and replace them with a new, more promising one. Linked to that, you can create an ABC prioritization matrix, where A are your top 10 projects, just discussed, B are smaller scale projects, which are still important, but this project will be managed by a smaller group, more junior group of employees in your company with a smaller budget. And then C, which are things that are still necessary to do, but will be managed by a much smaller group with even less budget. And whatever is not in A, B, and C, kill it. Have the discipline of a continuous, ongoing, stop doing list, where you challenge yourself and your team to create items to add, ask every group to come back with 5 things they will stop doing tomorrow. And it's amazing, the list will be populated, and even if some of these things will not have a massive impact in terms of time saving, psychologically, it will relieve the burden of the organization. Of course, the threat from a startup don't limit to 5, there are many others. I thought it was also worth mentioning these ones. Ignoring the legal and regulatory requirements. So again, even if you're small budget, don't save on money, hire a legal firm to provide the guidance and governance. Failure to adapt, you are a dynamic and fluid environment. You need to continuously learn and adjust. Don't be afraid to admit a mistake and move on. A risk is over depending on one customer or one product, because they will imbalance the power, and therefore you will be vulnerable. If anything happens, your business will be in significant issues. Neglecting branding and marketing is typical. You are in love with your product, with your service, and you forget to market it. A business model not scalable, then you are doomed. Lack of contingency plan, many things can go wrong. We must be prepared for many scenarios. And because you're always running, not enough time to talk to your employees, to your investor, to your supplier, to your customer. And so poor communication will be another nail in your coffin. And a bonus tip, don't over-rely on the founder. Now think about Steve Jobs, Apple 1.0. Even if the smartest founder, the founder gets sick, the company collapses. The founder is jailed. The founder, decided to enjoy life and deprioritize work. Many things can go wrong. So set up a board of director, very important, like the law firm, like the finance director. These are tools to ensure governance, to ensure external views and control of power. And also set up a diverse and competent management team so you can delegate appropriately. If you enjoyed the discussion, then I suggest some books that are a nice complement of this topic. The First 90 Days particularly is an excellent book when you start a new company or entering a new market, a new geography. Any transition, that's the Bible. The No Rules is about the Netflix corporate culture. Again, very insightful, especially in the areas of HR. built to last, successful habit of a visionary company. So any startup should aspire to that. And by the way, below you have the QR code about the book with the details. And Execution, a very famous book about the importance of aligning people, strategy, and organization. I read them all. I'm a big reader. If you visit my website, I have the list of the must read, which is much more than 4, but this 4 seems most appropriate for the topic. And if you have more questions or you want to share your challenges, please visit my website. The QR code is there to visit, or if you want, you can book directly a free introductory call where we talk, you share your problem and see maybe if we work together. Again, the QR code to book the call is down there. Hope you enjoy it. And please don't forget to unlock your infinite potential. Maybe I can help.